friends! Hello. This video is long overdue, I know, and I'm sorry. So, today, friends, we are doing part 2 of every boreo moment in Ye Olde Goldfinch. So, I filmed and uploaded a part 1, which was every young boreo moment in the Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, and I filmed a bit of the adult section, but I didn't finish it, because these videos are exhausting to make, truly, but anything for you guys. So I'm going to mesh this intro and the rest of the adult sections with what I filmed from the first boreo video. So if I just change clothes and the lighting changes, I'm sorry. Also, I realized that I've had my phone, that I've been holding my phone in a couple of videos recently and I haven't shown you guys my phone case. It's the goldfinch. Ain't she adorable? Also, I have this on my desk now. It's the goldfinch. Just to show everyone what trash I am. Also, before we move on, thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. Holy shit. Thank you so much. I wasn't expecting that. I feel like that came out of nowhere. I got so many new people from my Ready videos and my boreo videos and my Stranger Things videos, and I appreciate you all so much. And yeah, I'm so glad that you guys like my videos, because I have fun making them. I don't know, I feel like a lot of people do YouTube nowadays because they want to do it as a job. I'm not monetized, I just do this stuff because I want to. And this channel is like, an outlet for me to scream about things that I like, because none of my friends have the same passion that I do about these things. So you guys are my outlet. You guys are the people I can talk to about my fandoms. Make me feel validated. Which, yeah, by the way, I answer all of the comments. So comment if you have an opinion, if you want to chat. I'll answer all of them. Also, DM me on Instagram. I'll put my Instagram right here at edward.spagedward. A bunch of you have DM'd me, and we've had some good chats about Ready and boreo, and it's great. It's a great time. I love chatting with you guys. So yeah, it was a very prolonged intro. I'm sorry, but I just wanted to say thank you, because I appreciate your support, and I'm glad that you like watching these, because it makes me feel validated. Alright, but without further ado, let's pick up where we left off. And in a second, you'll see me in a different outfit, starting from the beginning. Her gust of laughter had a self-propelling recklessness I knew all too well from wild nights with Boris, an edge of giddiness and hysteria that I associated, in myself anyway, with having narrowly missed death. There had been nights in the desert where I was so sick with laughter, convulsed and doubled over with aching stomach for hours on end, I would happily have thrown myself in front of a car to make it stop. Over the phone, the money. You can withdraw it, from the 529 anyway. Large tax penalty, but it's possible. Possible, I could have taken it. An alternate future was flashing through my mind. Mr. Silver paid. Dad in his bathrobe checking the sports scores on his BlackBerry. Me in Spirit Sakia's class with Boris lazing across the aisle from me. Maybe it was just I'd sobered up a bit. No longer the chronic waste and splendor of those blazing adolescent drunks, our own little warrior tribe of 2 rampaging in the desert. Maybe this was just how it was when you got older, although it was impossible to imagine Boris, in Warsaw, Karmiwalik, New Guinea, wherever, living a sedate prelude to adult life such as the one I'd fallen into. Andy and I, even Tom Cable and I, had always talked obsessively about what we were going to be when we grew up, but with Boris, the future had never appeared to enter his head any further than his next meal. I could not envision him preparing in any way to earn a living or to be a productive member of society. And yet, to be with Boris was to know that life was full of great, ridiculous possibilities, far bigger than anything they taught in school. I'd long ago given up trying to text him or call. Messages to Kotku's phone went unanswered. His home number in Vegas had been disconnected. I could not imagine, given his wide sphere of moment, that I would ever see him again. And yet, I thought of him almost every day. The Russian novels I had to read for school reminded me of him. Russian novels, and 7 Pillars of Wisdom, and so too the Lower East Side, tattoo parlors and pierogi shops, pot in the air, old Polish ladies swaying side to side with grocery bags, and kids smoking in the doorways of bars along 2nd Avenue. Better for him if he keeps the place shut from those vultures. I mean, fist on breastbone. You know my heart. Hobie is family to me. But he rubbed 3 fingers together, an old gesture of Boris's. Money, money. And now we are in the adult section. Theo is now 26? I know he's 26 at the end of this. I don't think he's 26 now. It is 8 years later from however old he was when he left, so like 16. He's in his 20s, okay? And here we have another instance of repressed, internalized homophobia. Not that anybody in Hobie's crowd seemed to notice, except sometimes a few of the younger, more with-it gay guys. "You're a bad boy," the bodybuilder boyfriend of a client had whispered into my ear at a formal dinner, freaking me out thoroughly. Theo, sweetie. Also, okay. Adult Theo is an absolute disaster. Like a disaster. Never in my life have I felt sadder for a character than I do for adult Theo. Cause I'd say the children's half of this book is over half of the book, and I think that the half of the book where Theo is a child is beautiful. I think it's so amazing, so well written, it's so emotional, and I think that while the adult section is still very good because it is the same story and it's continuing on years later, Theo is such a disaster that a lot of times it was hard for me to read this without getting angry at how stupid he is. So let's continue. 8R, 2 keys, and a combination padlock. 7522, the last 4 digits of Boris's home phone in Vegas. The code for the safe where he keeps the goldfinch is Boris's phone number. Not his fiance's phone number, which he's engaged to Kitsy Barber at this point in the story, who is the second youngest Barber child, Andy's little sister. Andy is dead. Andy's father is dead. So the only remaining Barbers are Mrs. Barber, Platt, Kitsy, and Toddy. And he's married. He's engaged. He's to be married. He's engaged to Kitsy. It's not Hobie's phone number. It's not Pippa's phone number. It's not Kitsy's. It's Boris. This boy. I put down the paper. Reeve, who had stopped eating, was regarding me with a tight feline smile. Maybe it was the primness of that tiny smile on his pear-shaped face, but unexpectedly I burst out laughing. The pent-up laughter of terror and relief, just as Boris and I had laughed when the fat mall cop chasing us, and about to catch us, slipped on wet tile in the food court and fell smack on his ass. Now we have another chapter of his life that is named after Boris. It's called The Idiot, which has a double meaning. The Idiot is a book that he was reading in Russian, that he was reading because of Boris. It was a book that he liked, and also because Boris had that thing where he would tap his knuckles on his head, which was a Russian gesture, a Ukrainian gesture, one of the two for idiot. So, that's cute! And I bet you know who's gonna show up in this chapter now. He's been around for a while, but this, Grisha paused. Normally I would not say anything, maybe as nothing, but yesterday. Well, what? Go on, I said, when he massaged his neck and looked guiltily to the side. Another guy. Different. I'd seen him hanging about the shop before, outside, but yesterday he came in the shop to ask for you by your name, and I did not like the looks of him at all. I did not talk to him. I was out, nodding. So, loading the truck, but I saw him go in. Kind of guy you notice. Nice dress, but not like a client. You were at lunch and Mike was in the shop by himself. Guy comes in, asks Theodore Decker. Well, you're not in. Mike says so. Where is he? Lot of questions about you. Like, do you work here? Do you live here? How long? Where are you? All sorts. What do you look like? I asked, and then when Grisha did not reply. Older fellow? Heavy? White hair? Grisha made an exasperated sound. No, shaking his head with resolute firmness. This was nobody's grandpappy. What did he look like then? He looked like a guy you would not want to get in a fight with, is what he looked like. I wonder who it is. I wonder who's coming to look for Theo. Do you have any guesses? And here it is. Green tab, which means this is when Boris shows back up. I was out of the bar and well down the street when I heard a shout behind me. Potter! I froze as I heard him shout it again. Then, in disbelief, I turned, and while I still stood, unable to believe it, people streaming round us on either side, he laughed and barged forward to throw his arms around me. Boris. Pointed black eyebrows, merry black eyes. He was taller, face hollower, long black coat, same old scar over his eye, plus a couple new ones. Wow. And wow yourself. He held me out at arm's length. Ha! Look at you. Long time, no? I was too stunned to speak. What are you doing here? And, I should ask, stepping back to give me the once-over, then gesturing down the street as if it belonged to him. What are you doing? To what do I owe this surprise? What? I stopped by your shop the other day, throwing the hair out of his face, to see you. That was you? Who else? How'd you know where to find me? I shook my head in disbelief. You weren't looking for me? Drawing back in surprise. No, this is accident, ships passing. Amazing. And why this white face on you? What? You look terrible. Fuck you. Ah, he said, slinging his arm around my neck. Potter, Potter. Such dark rings, tracing a fingertip under one eye. Nice suit, though. And hey, releasing me, flicking me with his thumb and forefinger on the temple. Same glasses on the face? You never got them changed? All I could do was shake my head. What? He held out his hands. You don't blame me for being happy to see you. I laughed. I didn't know where to start. Why didn't you leave a number? I said. So you're not angry with me? Hate me forever? Though he wasn't smiling, he was biting his lower lip in amusement. You don't, he jerked his head at the street. You don't want to go fight me or something? I didn't even have his information. It had all happened so fast. In the past, I'd Googled Boris for the hell of it. Never a whisper. But then I never envisioned Boris as having any kind of life that might be traceable online. You know, casually Googling Boris in his free time. Okay. Potter. There he was, sliding in across from me, slinging the hair from his face in a gesture that brought the past ringing back. I was just about to leave. Sorry. Same dirty, charming smile. Had something to do. Didn't Mariam explain? No, she didn't. Well, it's not like I work in an accounting office. Look, he said, leaning forward, palms on the table. Don't be mad. Was not expecting to run into you. I came as quick as I could. Ran practically. He reached across with a cupped hand and slapped me gently on the cheek. My God, such a long time it is. Glad to see you. You're not glad to see me too? He'd grown up to be good-looking. By the way, just saying. Even at his gawkiest and most pinched, he'd always had a likable shrewdness about him, lively eyes and a quick intelligence, but he'd lost that half-starved rawness, and everything else had come together the right way. His skin was weather-beaten, but his clothes fell well, his features were sharp and nervy, cavalry hero by the way of a concert pianist, and his teeth, gray snaggle teeth I saw, had been replaced by a standard-issued row of all-American whites. Like, do we even know what his fiancée looks like other than that she's blonde? Like, genuine question. And, like, when we get to the end of the book, you'll see that this is actually, it's like this is, like, Theo wrote this. This is, like, fictionally supposed to be, like, this is a book that Theo wrote as, like, a letter of sorts to explain everything that has happened in his life. And, like, a good 70% of this is just about Boris. Like, we skipped ahead 8 years. He is engaged to Kitsy Barber and just, like, didn't even bother, like, talking about, like, how they met, how they got together, first kiss, like, no, not important, no. Instead, we gotta have over 200 pages of him and Boris's children, and then another good 200 pages of him and Boris's adults. Like, sir. Okay, let's move on. To our meeting. Isn't it my turn to toast? Yes, it is, clinking my glass. But I'm hungry, and you are waiting too long. To our meeting, then. To our meeting, and to Fortune for bringing us together again. As soon as we'd drunk, Boris fell immediately on the food. And what exactly is it you do? I asked him. This, he still ate with an innocent gobbling hunger of a child. Many things. Getting by, you know? Russia? I said, downing my shot, wiping my mouth with the back of my hand. Not so much. Northern Europe, Sweden, Belgium, Germany sometimes. I thought you went back. Because, well, I never heard from you. Ah, Boris rubbed his nose sheepishly. It was a messed up time. Remember your house? That last night? Of course. Well, I'd never seen so much drugs in my life. Like half an ounce of coca, and I didn't sell one stitch of it. Not even 1/4 gram. Gave a lot away, sure. Was very popular at school. Everyone loved me. But most of it right up my nose. He got you into it? That's right. Big racket, I heard. That's right. He eyed me up and down. You happy? He said. Not very. Listen then, I have a great idea. Come work for me. I burst out laughing. No, not kidding. No, he said, shushing me imperiously as I tried to talk over him, pouring me a new shot, sliding the glass around the table to me. What is he giving you? Serious, I will give you 2 times. No, I like my job, over pronouncing the words. Was I wrecked as I sounded? I like what I do. Yes? He lifted his glass to me. Then why aren't you happy? I don't want to talk about it. And why not? I waved my hand dismissively. Because I'd lost track quite how many shots I just had. Just because. If not job, then which is it? He had thrown him back his own shot, tossing his head grandly, and stared in the new place of herring. Money problems? Girl? Neither. Girl, then, he said triumphantly. I knew it. Listen, I drained the rest of my vodka, slapping the table. What a genius I was. I couldn't stop smiling. I'd had the best idea in years. Enough of this. Come on, let's go. I've got a big surprise for you. Go, said Boris, visibly bristling. Go where? Come with me. You'll see. I want to stay here, Boris. He sat back. Let it go, Potter, he said, putting his hands up. Just relax. Boris. I looked at the bar crowd as if expecting a mass outrage, and then back at him. I'm sick of sitting here. I've been here for hours. But he was annoyed. I cleared this whole night for you. I had stuff to do. You're leaving? Yes, and you're coming with me, because... I threw my arms out. You have to see the surprise. Surprise? He threw down his balled-up napkin. What surprise? You'll find out. What was the matter with him? Had he forgotten how to have fun? Now come on, let's get out of here. Tell me again, why are we having to come here? He said, still standing well back. You'll see. And you live up there? He said suspiciously, looking inside the parlor. Hobie, I said. He had ventured out into the hall, eyebrows lifted, Mrs. DeFreeze pattering apprehensively after him. Hi, Hobie, you remember me talking about Pop-Chick! The little white bundle, toddling dutifully down the halls of the front door, froze. Then a high-pitched scream as he began to run as fast as he could, which was not very fast at all anymore, and Boris, whooping with laughter, dropped to his knees. Oh, snatching him up as Pop-Chick wriggled and struggled. You got fat! He got fat! He said indignantly as Pop-Chick jumped up and kissed him on the face. Yes, hello, Pop-Chick, yeah, a little bit of fluff, hello, you remember me, don't you? He had toppled over on his back, stretched out and laughing, as Pop-Chick, still screaming with joy, jumped all over him. He remembers me! Hobie adjusted his glasses, was standing by amused Mrs. DeFreeze, not quite so amused, standing behind Hobie and frowning slightly at the spectacle of my vodka-smelling guest rolling and tumbling with the dog on the carpet. Don't tell me, he said, putting his hands in the pockets of his suit jacket. This would be... exactly. We didn't stay long. Hobie had heard a lot about Boris over the years. Let's go have a drink, and Boris was just as interested and curious as I might have been if Judy from Carmiwalig or some other mystical person of his past had turned up, but we were drunk and too boisterous, and I felt that we might be upsetting Mrs. DeFreeze, who thought smiling politely was sitting rather still in a hall chair with her tiny bringed hands folded on her lap and not saying much. So we left, Pop-Chick in tow, paddling along excitedly with us, Boris shouting and delighted, waving at the car to go round the block and pick us up. Yes, Poshtukia, yes, to Popper. That's us, we have a car. Then all of a sudden it seemed that Boris's driver spoke English as well as Boris did, and we were all three of us pals, four of us counting Popper, who was standing on his hind legs with his paws propped on the window glass and staring out very seriously at the lights of the West Side Highway, as Boris gabbled to him and cuddled him and kissed him on the back of the neck, while simultaneously explaining to Yuri, the driver, in both English and Russian how wonderful I was, friend of his youth and blood of his heart, Yuri reaching around his body and across the seat with his left hand to shake my hand solemnly in the rear, and how precious was life that two such friends in so big world should find each other again after so great separation. This is not the right man to ask these questions, Boris said, offering me a cigarette and then passing one to Yuri across the front seat. God has tortured Theo plenty. If suffering makes noble, then he is a prince. By now it was late. The back seat of the car was soothing after all the confusion of the club, intimate glow of the console, radio turned low, and we drove around for hours with Pop-Chick fast asleep in Boris's lap, laughing and talking, Yuri chiming in too with hoarsely shouted stories about growing up in Brooklyn and what he called the bricks, the projects, while Boris and I drank warm vodka from the bottle and did bumps of coke from the bag that he had produced from his overcoat pocket, Boris passing it up to Yuri every now and then. Even though the air was on, it was burning up in the car. Boris was sweaty in the face and his ears were flaming red. You see, he was saying, he'd already shouldered off his jacket. He was taking off his cufflinks, dropping them in his pocket, rolling up his shirt sleeves. It was your dad who taught me how to dress proper. I'm grateful to him for that. Yeah, my dad taught us both a lot of things. Yes, he said sincerely, vigorous nod, no irony, wiping his nose with the side of his hand. He always looked like gentleman. You know what I did in college? I was telling him. I took conversational Russian for a year. Totally because of you. I did really shitty in it, actually. Never got good enough to read it, to sit down with Eugene Onegin. You have to read it in Russian, they say. It doesn't come through in translation. But I thought of you so much. I used to remember little things you'd say. All sorts of things that came back to me. Oh, wow, listen. They're playing Comfy and Nautica. Do you hear that? Panda Bear? I totally forgot that album. Anyway, I wrote a term paper on the idiot for my Russian literature class. Russian literature and translation. I mean, the whole time I was reading it, I thought about you, up in my bedroom smoking my dad's cigarettes. It was so much easier to keep track of the names if I imagined you saying them in my head. Actually, it was like I heard the whole book in your voice. Back in Vegas, you were reading The Idiot for like 6 months, remember? In Russian. For a long time, it was all you did. Remember how for a long time you couldn't go downstairs because of Sandra? I had to bring you food, like it was like Anne Frank. Anyway, I read it in English, The Idiot, but I wanted to get there too, to that point, where my Russian was good enough, but I never did. All that fucking school, said Boris, plainly unimpressed. If you want to speak Russian, come to Moscow with me. You will speak it in 2 months. When I ran into you, you looked on your way to jump in the river. Sorry, it was a rough day. Nice setup you've got there, though, Boris was saying. He couldn't see the couple from where he was sitting. So you guys are partners? No, not like that. I didn't say so. Boris looked at me critically. Jesus, Potter, don't be so touchy. Referring to him as him and Hobie. Theo took it like that, because Theo has problems with internalized homophobia, and just, he's very dramatic, and needs to chill the fuck out. Sorry, said Boris, holding up his hands. No need to snap. Only I meant it when I asked you to come work with me. And how am I supposed to answer that? Look, I want to repay you, let you share in all good things that have happened to me, because, he said, interrupting me grandly, I owe you everything. Everything good that has happened in my life, Potter, has happened because of you. What, I got you in the drug dealing business? Wow, okay, I said, lighting one of his cigarettes and pushing the pack across to him. That's good to know. That makes me feel really great about myself. Thanks. Drug dealing? Who said drug dealing? I want to make things up to you. For what I did, I'm telling you, it's a great life. We would have lots of fun together. So I'm not going to read this whole scene because it's very long, but this is when Theo finds out that Boris took the goldfinch before he left for New York, back when they were Yale teenagers in Vegas. So if you didn't know that, that's what happened. Boris took it. Theo, being the dumbass that he is, never noticed that it was gone, because Boris just put a little school book in its place and wrapped it back up, and Theo's like, feels legit, and just never questioned it for 9 years. Boris slapped the table. You idiot. You mean you never opened it up? How could you not? When I still didn't answer him, face in hands, he reached across the table and shook me by the shoulder. Really? He said urgently, trying to look me in the eye. You did not. Never opened it to look. All these years, said Boris, half frowning, and you never once. Oh, God. Are you okay? I shook my head. How did you even know I have it? How do you know that? I repeated when he didn't answer. You went through my room, my things? Boris looked at me. Then he ran both hands through his hair and said, You're a blackout drunk, Potter, you know that? Boris sighed. Right, but your memory goes, just like his. And I'm not saying you did anything bad or violent. You were not violent like him. But you know, like, oh, that time we went to the play pit at McDonald's, the kid pit, and you were so drunk on the puffy thing that a lady called the cops on you, and I got you out there fast, standing in Walmart half an hour, pretending to look at school pencils, and then back on the bus, back to the bus stop. And that night, you don't remember any of it. Not one thing. McDonald's, Boris. What McDonald's? Or, he said, sniffing lavishly, talking over me. Or, that day you were totaled, wrecked, you make me go with you for a walk in the desert? Okay, we go for a walk, fine. Only you are so drunk you can barely walk, and it's 105 degrees, and you get tired of walking and lay yourself down in the sand, and ask me that I leave you to die. Leave me, Boris, leave me. Remember that? Get to the point. What can I say? You were unhappy, drank yourself unconscious all the time. So did you. Yes, I remember. Passing out on the stairs, face down, remember? Waking up on the ground, miles from home, feet sticking out from a bush, no idea how I got there? Shit. I did plenty of stupid things, stupider than you. But me, he said, toying with a cigarette, I was trying to have fun and be happy. You wanted to be dead. It's different. Why do I feel like you're trying to change the subject? Not trying to judge, it's just, we did crazy things back then. Guys. I have thoughts about this. Let's proceed. Not trying to judge. It's just, we did crazy things back then. Things I think maybe you don't remember. No, he said quickly, shaking his head when he saw the look on my face. Not that. Although, I will say, you are the only boy I've ever been in bed with. My laugh sputtered out angrily, as if I'd coughed or choked on something. With that, Boris leaned back disdainfully in his chair, pinched his nostrils shut. Fuck. I think it happens at that age sometimes. We were young and needed girls. I think maybe you thought it was something else. But no, wait, he said quickly, his expression changing. I'd scraped back my chair to go. Wait, he said again, catching my sleeve. Don't, please, listen to what I'm trying to tell you. Okay. So, before we continue, this part makes me a bit mad. I'm not gonna lie. like, just a bit. But, that being said, I do believe that this is not exactly what it seems, because this is the kind of shit that I'm sure that the director of this film, who thinks that their relationship was platonic, saw and was like, yes, makes sense. Boris's word is God. I think, personally, that the way that he phrased this is just aiding the fact that he is well aware that Theo has this internalized homophobia and kind of wants to reassure him that everything's okay, if that makes any sense, because, like, the hooking up aside, their relationship was not platonic, and you could assess that solely from the scene where Theo leaves, and Boris kisses him, and Theo's like, bitch, I love you. That's not platonic! Fuck you! So, in my opinion, while this made me a bit mad when I read it, because, we were young and needed girls, as the exact kind of behavior that makes these characters have internalized homophobia in the first place, by the way, is, in my opinion, something that Boris was saying because he was just assessing his surroundings, assessing Theo's mindset, and just, I feel like that kind of internalized homophobia was apparent when he was a teenager, not just now, and I just feel like he was saying that to sort of reassure him. Because, like, the ending to this book is fairly open, in my opinion. Like, we don't really know what happens. And, like, while I don't believe that, like, Boris and Theo lived happily ever after and just completely assess their feelings for each other and were like, yes, this is concrete, I don't think they're the kind of people who have the capacity to do that in their situations, just the way they were raised and the way that they, not even raised, but just like the way that they grew up. I do believe that they were still in love with each other in some degree. I think that it was more apparent when they were teenagers because just so much had happened in between that era and when they met again, and just Theo was in such a dark place in this timeline now, like, as at this age. I think Theo is just, like, a completely different person at this point in the story, that it's kind of hard to compare their feelings and relationship as 15, 16-year-olds and as 26, 27-year-olds. I just think it's kind of hard to compare the two, and that's why I am more of a fan of the Vegas era of Boreo, or just the young era. I just think that, like, that part was more enjoyable to me, and I just think young Theo's half of the book was more enjoyable to me in general, just because I think that young Theo is more of a sympathetic character and somebody you can empathize for and somebody that the audience and the reader connects with, whereas I had a really difficult time sympathizing and empathizing for older Theo because I think that a lot of his actions were not in his best interest or in the best interest of others. I think the whole situation with Pippa is incredibly creepy, and I just think that he got to a point of sort of selfish irredeemability. So that's my 2 cents on adult Theo. I'm looking forward to how I feel when the movie comes out, because, like, I like Ansel Elgort. I was the Tifio stan back in the day. I was the Divergent stan. Like, we were all one of those, let's be honest. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how he takes on this role. I don't think that I'm going to sympathize or empathize for him more simply because he's Ansel Elgort, because I'm not, like, I don't know, I don't think that's going to change anything, but I'm really curious to see how he approaches the character, because I think sort of the disconnect with the audience is sort of important with this era of Theo, and just the fact that it's like you're sort of seeing this man sort of crumble before you and just lose all faith and hope and happiness that was once there. I just think that's really interesting, and what makes Theo so frustrating as an adult, because you're reading this from his point of view, and this is sort of like his explanation of his life. And yeah, I just think that's what makes him infuriating at times, is just that he wasn't really assessing things in the manner that I guess you would expect or want him to. I don't know. I feel like that made no sense, but we'll see. Let's move on. That was a lot of talking. Wait, he said again, catching my sleeve. Don't. Please, listen to what I'm trying to tell you. You don't at all remember the night we were watching Dr. No? I was getting my coat from the back of my chair, but at this, I stopped. Do you? Am I supposed to remember? Why? I know you don't, but I used to like to test you. Mention Dr. No, make jokes to see what she would say. What about Dr. No? Not that long after I met you. His knee was going up and down like crazy. I think you weren't used to vodka. You never knew what size to pour your drink. You came in with a huge glass, like so, like water glass, and I thought, shit, you don't remember? There were lots of nights like that. You don't remember. I would clean up your vomit, throw your clothes in the wash. You would not even know I had done it. You would cry and tell me all kinds of things. What kind of things? Like, he made an impatient face. Oh, it was your fault your mother died. You wished it was you. If you died, you would maybe be with her together in the darkness. No point going into it. I don't want to make you feel bad. You were a mess, Theo. Fun to be with most of the time. Up for anything, but a mess. Probably you should have been in hospital. Climbing on roof, jumping into the swimming pool. Could have broken your neck. It was crazy. You would lie on your back in the road at night. No street lights, No way for anyone to see you, waiting for a car to come and run you over. I had to fight to get you up and drag you into the house. Pause. There's a great fan fiction that someone wrote of that scene on Archive of Our Own. If I can find it, I'll put it right here. It was... I would have lain out in that godforsaken fucking street a long time before a car came by. I could have slept out there. Brought my sleeping bag. I'm not going to go into this. You were nuts. You could have killed us both. One night you got matches and tried to set the house on fire. Remember that? I was just joking, I said uneasily. And the carpet? Big burnt hole in the sofa? Was that a joke? I turned the cushion so that Sandra wouldn't see it. That piece of shit was so cheap it wasn't even flame retardant. Right, have it your way. Anyway, this one night we were watching Dr. No, which I had never seen, but you had, and I was liking it very much, and you were completely vegavano, and it's on this island, and all cool, and he presses the button and shows that picture he stole? Oh, God. Boris cackled. You did! God help you, it was great. So drunk you were staggering. I have something to show you, something wonderful, best thing ever. Stepping in front of the television. No, really, me, watching movie, best part. You wouldn't shut up, fuck off. Anyway, off you go, mad as hell, fuck you, making all this noise, bang, bang, bang. And then down you come with the pictures, see? He laughed. Funny thing, was sure you were bullshitting me. World famous museum work, give me a break. But it was real, anyone could see. I don't believe you. Well, it's true, I did know. Because if possible to paint fakes that look like that, Las Vegas would be the most beautiful city in the history of Earth. Anyway, so funny. Here I am, so proudly teaching you to steal apples and candy from the magazine while you have stolen a world masterpiece of art. I didn't steal it. Boris chuckled. No, you explained. Preserving it in safety. Big important duty in life, you're telling me, he said, leaning forward. You really haven't opened it up and looked at it. All these years. What is the matter with you? I don't believe you, I said again. When did you take it? I said when he rolled his eyes away from me. How? Look, like I said, how do you expect me to believe one word of this? Then I stood without a word and got my coat. Boris jumped up too. Wait, he said as I shouldered past him. Potter, don't go angry. When I said I would make it up to you, I meant it. Potter, he called again as I stepped through the clattering bead curtain and out onto the street, into the dirty gray light of dawn. Terrible. Can't bring him anywhere. Just wanders off. After 2 hours of twisting and flopping on my bed in a torturous, falling, half-dream state, thoughts flying, exhausted from my heart beating so fast, Boris's voice still running through my mind. When Hobie got home, around 2, he walked in off the street with a jingle of bells like a customer. Well, that was certainly a surprise last night. He was pink-cheeked from the rain, shrugging off his raincoat and shaking the water off. He was dressed for the auction house, Windsor knotted tie and one of the beautiful old suits. Boris. He'd done well at his auction. I could tell by his mood, though he tended not to go in with strong bids. He knew what he wanted, and every so often in his slow session, when no one was up against him, he made off with a pile of beauties. I gather you two made quite a night of it? Ah, I was hunched in a corner, sipping tea. My headache was ferocious. Funny to meet him after hearing so much about him. Pause. So, Theo obviously talked about him a lot. Hobie knew who he was, without Theo even saying anything when he first came in and met Popper. That's wild. Theo! He's so frustrating. Funny to meet him after hearing so much about him, like meeting a character in a book. I'd always pictured him as the Artful Dodger in Oliver. Oh, you know, the little boy, the urchin. What's the actor's name? Jack something. Ragged coat, smear of dirt along the cheek. Believe me, he was dirty enough back then. Well, you know, Dickens doesn't tell us what happened to the Dodger. Grew up to be a respectable businessman. Who knows? And wasn't Popper out of his mind? I've never seen an animal so happy. The long streets, I said, my heart plunging. That sounds right. Anyhow, Boris, great fun, great charmer. How long is he in town for? How long is he here for? He repeated amiably when I didn't answer. He couldn't see my face, staring out horrified into the street. Have him over for dinner, don't you think? Why don't you ask him to give us a couple of nights when he's free? That is, if you like, he said when I didn't reply. Up to you. Let me know. Hobie knows, guys. He knows. He knows. Theo didn't even have to say anything. You know Hobie knows. It's just, because, okay, this is, unrelated, but there are lots of theories that Hobie and Welty had a bit of a thing, and, valid theory. We don't know anything about that. There's nothing to really back that, but I like that idea, and I think that, aids the fact that it's, you hear Theo going on and on about this boy and all this shit that went down, and they get, Hobie knows. And that makes my heart hurt. Okay. I started to keep him. Popper, damp but otherwise looking none the worse for his adventure, stiffened his legs rather formally as Boris set him down on the floor and then paddled over to me, holding his head up so that I might scratch him under the chin. He did not miss you one bit, said Boris. We had a very nice day together. What'd you do? I said after a long silence, because I couldn't think of anything else to say. Sleep, mostly. Gary dropped us off. He scrubbed his darkened eyes and yawned, and we had a very nice nap together, the two of us. You know how he used to curl up like a fur hat on my head? Popper had never liked to sleep with his chin on my head like that, only with Boris. Then, we woke up, I had a shower, and I took him for a walk. Not far. He did not want to go far. And I made some phone calls, and we ate a bacon sandwich and drove back in. Look, I'm sorry, he said impulsively when I didn't answer, running his hand through his rumpled hair. Really, and I'm going to make it right again. And good, I will. The silence between us was crushing. Did you have fun last night anyway? I had fun. Big night out. Not feeling so hot this morning, though. Please say something, he blurted when I didn't reply. I have been feeling very bad about this all day. Popper had snuffed across the room to his water dish. Peacefully, he began to drink. For a long time, there was no sound except his monotonous lapping and slurping. Really, Theo, hand to heart, I feel terrible. My feelings, my shame, I have no words for, he said more gravely when I still did not answer. And yes, I'll admit it, part of me asked myself, why did you wreck everything, Boris? Why did you open your big mouth? But how can I lie and sneak? You give me that, at least, he said, rubbing his hands, agitated. I am not cowardly, I told you. I admitted it. I didn't want you to worry, not knowing what was going on, and I am going to make it up to you somehow, I promise. I still can't believe you stole it. Look, I'm not going to make excuses. I took it. But, he smiled winningly. Am I dishonest? Did I lie about it? Yes, I said after a disbelieving pause. Yes, you did lie about it. You never asked me straight out. If you did, I would have told you. Boris, that's bullshit. You lied. Well, I'm not lying now, said Boris, looking around resignedly. I thought you would have found out by now. Years ago. I thought that you knew it was me. I wandered away to the stairs, trailing. Water streamed down the windows, quicksilver heavy, sealing us into the car, lights winking and melting us in a roar that reminded me of when Boris and I used to ride in the back of the Lexus in Vegas when my dad went through the car wash. The half light in the room sent me straight back to childhood. Vegas, like the obscure mood of a dream lingering after sleep. Haze of cigarette smoke, dirty clothes on the floor, Boris's face white, then blue, in the flicker of the screen. Boris had picked up his coat and was shouldering it on. Potter, he said, and then again, when I did not answer, staring horrified at the floor where the boy was breathing in gurgles. Potter, catching my arm. Come on, let's go. And? What? On the floor back there. Him? That fell? Boris made his old who-knows face. They'll take care of him. Don't worry. It happens. They're always fine. Really, he said in a more earnest tone. Because, listen, he said, digging me in the side with his elbow. Horace has these kids hanging around a lot. Changes a lot. Always a new crowd. College age, high school age, rich kids mostly. Trust fund. Woman like that. Would you think she is a woman who enjoys to knit sweaters? But she does. Offered to make me one. She was serious, too. Boris, I will knit you a sweater any time you like. Just tell me what color and I will do it. He was trying to cheer me up, but I still felt too shaken to talk. For a while we both walked with heads down, and there was no noise except the two of us clicking along the park path in darkness, our footsteps seeming to echo forever and beyond the city night enormous around us, car horns and sirens sounding like they were coming from half a mile away. Well, said Boris presently, throwing me another sideways glance. At least I've got it figured out now, eh? What? I said, startled. 2 weeks before it happens. You hear it all from Cherry. So no need to worry about your bird, all right? I'm pretty sure we will sort it all out. What do you mean, sort it out? Boris made an exasperated noise. Because this is closed circle, you understand? Horace is right on the money about that. No one is going to buy this painting. Impossible to sell, but black market, barter currency, can be traded back and forth forever. Valuable, portable, hotel rooms, going back and forth. Drugs, arms, girls, cash, whatever you like. Girls, boys, what have you. Look, he said, holding up a hand. Unless cops find it, and they have not found it, this we know. I want the cops to find it. Well, Boris rubbed his nose briskly. Yes, all very noble, but for now, what I do know is that it will move, and only move in relatively small network, and Victor Cherry is a great friend and owes me big, so cheer up, he said, grasping my arm. Don't look so white and ill, and we will talk again soon, I promise. Standing under a street lamp where Boris had left me, cannot drop you home, I am late, somewhere to be. I was so shaken that I had to look around to get my bearings. I was still staring at this uncomprehendibly, wondering if I should return the message or not. What could I possibly say? When Boris came bursting in the front door of the shop. I have some news. Oh, yeah? I said after a moment's distracted pause. He wiped his forehead. We can talk here? He said, looking around. Shaking my head to clear it. Sure. I have that sleepy head today, he said, rubbing his eye. His hair was standing up in every direction. Need a coffee? No, don't have time, he said blearily, raising a hand. Can't sit either. Can only stay 1 minute. But good news. I have a good line on your picture. Boris pursed his lips in his old derisive manner. Believe me, Horace took care of that picture like it was his own baby. That said, he closed his eyes, I cannot say about these guys. Boris waved a hand. You didn't meet Martin. Believe me, you would remember if you did. Anyway, this Lucius guy is no good to be mixed up with for someone in your business. I know. What are you into him for, if I may ask? I shook my head at the impossibility of going into it. It's complicated. Well, I don't know what he has on you. If you need my help, of course, you have it. I am pledging it to you. Horace, too, I dare say, because he likes you. Nice to see him so involved and talkative yesterday. I do not think he knows so many persons with whom he can be himself. So, he stood and bravely knocked his breastbone with his fist. Courage, we will speak soon. Boris, eh? What would you do if your girl was cheating on you? Boris, heading out the door, did a double take. Come again, if you thought your girl was cheating on you. Boris frowned. Not sure? You have no proof? No, I said before realizing this wasn't strictly true. Then you must ask her, straight out, said Boris decisively, in some friendly and unprotected moment when she is not expecting it. In bed, maybe. If you catch her at the right moment, even if she lies, you will know it. She will lose her nerve. Not this woman. Boris laughed. Well, you have found a good one, then. A rare one. Is she beautiful? Yes. Rich? Yes. Intelligent? Most people would say so, yes. Heartless? A bit. Boris laughed. And you love her, yes? But not too much. Why do you say that? Because you're not mad or wild or grieving. You are not roaring out to choke her with your own bare hands, which means your soul is not too mixed up with hers, and that is good. Here's my experience. Stay away from the ones you love too much. Those are the ones who will kill you. I don't even have to say anything. Like, guys. Oh, like that says so much. I'm suffering. This just entire half frustrates me to no end because they just, if they would just wake up and, I mean, honestly, Boris is doing fine. Boris is a dandy guy. If Theo would just wake the fuck up and, like, Okay, so this next thing is a quote from Kitsy that I want to talk about. She was scrabbling in the drawer for the corkscrew, and she turned and regarded me bleakly. Listen, she said, I don't expect you to understand, but it's rough to be in love with the wrong person. I was silent. Walking in, I'd gone so cold with rage at the sight of her that I tried to tell myself that she was powerless to hurt me, or, God forbid, make me feel sorry for her. But who knew better the truth of what she was saying than me? Bitch, let's talk. So, I know everyone's first instinct is going to be like, that's about Pippa. No. Fuck you. Here's my 2 cents about Pippa, okay? And let me just say that I am worried because the way that the social media accounts and the trailers and whatnot are setting up Theo and Pippa in this film have me very worried because romanticizing Pippa and Theo's relationship is dangerous. And let me explain why. Okay, there was zero romantic attraction between the two of them whatsoever. It was 100% in Theo's head. And Theo was not even in love with Pippa. He was in love with the idea of Pippa and the fact that she was the one thing that directly connected him to his mother's death. That she was the only living person that he knows and is familiar with who was there in that museum when his mother died. Therefore, he is in love with the idea that she represents a time in his life where he was happy and his mother was alive, and so in that sense, he's in love with Pippa. He does not know her. He doesn't know anything about her. She has turned him down multiple times when he's made creepy advances on her. He stalks her. He takes stuff from her room. He's a fucking creep. So, that being said, I think that this passage could be interpreted that it's about Boris, and not necessarily in this time period, because here's the thing. I think it's really tough to analyze whether Theo is still in love with Boris at this age. I think that is debatable. But when he was a teenager, he was absolutely in love with Boris. And I just think that over time, he's just become so miserable and disconnected from everything happy in his life, and he sort of developed this mindset that he doesn't deserve to be happy and doesn't deserve for anything to go well in his life, and he's just sort of disconnected himself from everything and everybody that mattered to him. So I think that this has to do with Boris in that sense, because of his internalized homophobia and being in love with this boy and blah, 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 blah. And because sort of this life with Boris and this life that he envisioned with his father and Sandra and Boris, like that passage when they were at Christmas dinner of, like, seeing that maybe he could possibly be happy again, and then having that be taken away from him by his father dying and having to leave and go back to New York, I think is just Theo's way of accepting that he doesn't deserve to be happy, which is crazy, because obviously that's not true, but then that happened to him so young, and he just went through all these traumatic incidents that I think that he just sort of carried that throughout his life and has just sort of accepted the fact that he's just destined to be miserable and doesn't deserve anybody or anything. And so I think that is far more about Boris than it is about Pippa, because Pippa is more of a manifestation of what was lost, as is Boris. Boris is kind of a representation of like happiness, and like I said, like with Badir al Dain, like the light at the end of the tunnel, something that could give him happiness after this catastrophic thing that happened to his mother, was like something that could give him light again, and that was Boris. But Pippa, in the sense, is somebody he doesn't actually know or have any sort of meaningful relationship with, other than that she comes to visit Hobie every once in a while and they chat, and like there's no substance there. It's just he's in love with the idea of her and the fact that she ties him back to his mother and to a happier time. So that's my 2 cents about that dilemma and that line from Kitsy and that response from Theo. So let's move on. Everything with Kitsy had pushed Boris's visit temporarily from my mind, but once I went to sleep, it all came back sideways in dreams. Lovely to see you. There she was, her hair, her eyes, her. Bitten down nails like Boris's, and a pout to her lower lip like a child who'd sucked her thumb too much. Red tousled head like a dahlia. How are you? I've missed you. Okay. Comparing Pippa to Boris, as you do, heterosexual Theo. Oh, I love this part. Okay. The hunched nocturnal weirdo, so insecure how to conduct even the most basic relations with people that, in an interview which I was suddenly finding torturous, he had asked a recording engineer if they couldn't go to a lawyer and legally be declared brothers. Sort of the tragic late genius version of Tom Cable and me, pressing cut thumbs in the darkened backyard of his house, or, even more strangely, Boris seizing my hand, bloody at the knuckles where I'd punched him on the playground, and pressing it to his own bloodied mouth. We love bros kissing each other's hands. That's really straight. Okay, I'll stop. Like, that's not the point. But, like, oh, that's so cute. I love that a lot. Excuse me, I said, and made my way quickly across the room to them by the fireplace, where, in perfect unison, they turned and held their arms out to me. Hello, said Pippa. We were just talking about you. Potter, said Boris, throwing his arm around me, though he was dressed for the occasion. In a blue chalk-striped suit, it had often struck me the hordes of rich Russians in the Ralph Lauren shop on Madison. There was somehow no cleaning him up. His smudged eyes made him look stormy and disputable, and though his hair wasn't technically dirty, it gave the impression of dirtiness. I'm happy to see you. Same here. I'd asked Boris, never dreaming he would show, it not being in the nature of Boris to remember pesky things like dates or addresses, or to turn up on time if he did. You know who this is, don't you? I said, turning to Pippa. Of course she knows me, knows all about me. He talked to Pippa about Boris, and y'all still think he's in love with Pippa? Like this, the nerve of some people. Oh my god, whatever. Boris threw the hair out of his eyes. Come on, you will feel fantastic when you hear what I have to say, but you will need to go home, get your passport, and there is a question of cash, too. Over Boris's shoulder, imperturbable faces of strange, cold women, Mrs. Barber in profile, slightly turned to the wall, clutching the hand of the jolly cleric who didn't look quite so jolly anymore. What, are you listening to me? Shaking my arm, the same voice that had pulled me back to earth many, many times, from fractal glue-sniffing skies where I'd laid open-eyed and insensate on the bed, gazing at the impressive blue-white explosions on the ceiling. That's cute. Okay, anyways. Come on, talk in the car. Let's go. I have a ticket for you. Go? I looked at him. It was all I heard. I will explain. Don't look at me like that. Everything is good. No worries. But first off, you must arrange to be gone for a couple of days. 3 days, tops. So, flicking a hand, go, arrange with Snowflake and let's get out of here. I can smoke in here, can I? He said, looking around. No one is smoking. I'm not talking about the bank or tomorrow. I'm talking about on hand, now. But I can get it back, I'm telling you. But we can't stand around here any longer. We must go now. Right away, off with you. Go, he said, with a friendly little kick in the shin. Can you believe that Theo left his engagement party to go to Amsterdam with Boris? Okay, he said cautiously, turning away. The whole time I'd worked with him, I'd scarcely taken a vacation. Certainly never to go out of town. You and... He nodded at Kitsy. No. Everything all right? Sure. He looked at me. He looked across the room at Boris. You know, if you need anything, he said unexpectedly, you can always ask. Right, yes, I said, taken aback, not quite sure what he meant or how to respond. Thanks. He shrugged in seeming embarrassment and turned self-consciously back to the portrait. Boris was at the bar drinking a glass of champagne and gobbling leftover blinis with caviar. Seeing me, he drained the rest of his glass and tickled his head at the door. Let's get out of here. See you, I said to Hobie, shaking his hand, which was not something I ordinarily did, and leaving him to stare after me in some perplexity. Hobie knows, guys! He been new! So I stood anxiously by the coat check for several minutes, waiting for her to return, until finally Boris, mouthful of hors d'oeuvres, grabbed me by the arm and pulled me down the staircase and out the door. Boris introduced us in Russian. Russian phrase that I'm not going to try to pronounce. Sorry, said the guy, extending a hand slurred with indigo crowns and starbursts like the patterns on Ukrainian Easter eggs. Anatoly? I said cautiously. A stream of Russian followed, of which I understood not a word, and I turned to Boris in despair. Anatoly, Boris said pleasantly, does not speak one stitch of English. He says you're a pretty speaker, said Boris ironically, well-schooled in politeness. Mine connects through Frankfurt, yours is direct. Tonight? Yes, well, as you see, it does not leave us much time. And why am I going? Because I may need some help, and do not want to bring anyone else in on this. Well, Yuri, but I did not tell even Mariam for purposes of our trip. Despite the fact that I had no checked baggage, I stood in the claim area for well over an hour, watching a heavily taped suitcase circle round and round forlornly on the belt until Boris came up behind me and greeted me by throwing his arm around my neck and a chokehold and trying to step on the back of my shoes. Come on, he said, you look awful. Let's get something to eat and talk. Yuri's got the car outside. Does Ulrika know he took it? Rolled eyes. Search me. A phrase I had taught Boris years ago, horsing around at my house after school. Search me. Cut it out. Smoky desert twilight, shades drawn. Make up your mind. Let's face it. No way. Same shadows on his face, gold light glinting off the doors by the pool. What's the address? Cannot remember. You know me. I cannot remember addresses in my head like that. But, Boris tapped his pocket. Your hotel. Right. Back in Vegas, if we ever got separated, running from the mall cops, pockets full of stolen gift cards, my house was always the rendezvous point. So, I'll meet you back there, and you have my phone number, and I have yours. We'll call you when I know something more. Now, slapping me on the back of the head. Stop worrying, Potter. Don't stand there and look so unhappy. If we lose, we win, and if we win, we win. Everything is good. You know which way to go to get back, don't you? Just up this way, and left when you get to the shingle. Yes, there. We will speak soon. When I came back in, doing up my cufflinks, I stopped dead in the middle of the room to see him standing head bent on the bedside, intent upon assembling a pistol, snapping a pin with a clear-eyed competence like Hobie at work from the shop, pulling back the slide with a forceful, true-to-life quality. Click. Boris, I said, what the motherfuck? Calm down, he said to me, with a sideways glance, patting his pockets, taking out a magazine and popping it in. Snick. It's not what you think. Not at all. It's just for show. Because then I couldn't go with you, but everything has worked out perfectly, and here I am, Boris, standing there. It had all crashed onto me at once, in a sick rush. What a dumb fucking thing I'd stepped into. No worries, I've done the worrying for you, because, patting me on the shoulder, Sasha's too nervous. He's afraid to show his face in Amsterdam, afraid it will get back to horse, for good reason, and this is very, very good news for us. Forget, Boris made a face. Don't do this. You have brought me over here for nothing, and now I'm in a pinch. And now, flinging out an arm, last minute you start making conditions and saying, unsafe, and telling me how to do things? Don't you trust me? Yes, but, well then, trust me on this, please. You're the buyer, he said impatiently when I didn't answer. That's the story. It's been set up. We should have talked about this earlier. Oh, come on, he said in exasperation, picking the gun off the bed and sticking it into the holster. Please do not argue with me. We are going to be late. You would have never seen it at all if you had stayed in the bathroom 2 minutes longer. Never known I had a weapon on me at all. Because, Potter, listen to me. Will you listen, please? Here is all that will happen. We will walk in 5 minutes, stand. We will do all the talking. Talk only. You get your picture, everyone is happy. We leave and we get some dinner, okay? See, what I have to tell you, said Boris, forgetting the radio and turning to address me in the back seat. I want to tell you not to worry. With all my heart, he said, knitting his eyebrows and reaching out encouragingly to shake my shoulder. Everything is fine. Boris saw me looking at it. I am hungry too, he said rather formally. We will go get a really good dinner together. Blake's, 20 minutes. You're not going in? Not yet. He was standing slightly to the side, out of view of the glass doors, looking up and down the street. Billy Temple was circling the block. Don't be here talking to me. Go with Victor and Yuri. Protected by angels, my ass, said Boris in my ear, having sidled up noiselessly on my other side. I said nothing. Even all these years later, it was all too easy for us to fall into the habit of whispering with our heads together, like in Spirit Sakya's class, which seemed like not a good dynamic in this situation. Dropped a knee to the Indonesian's back and began to fumble with the cuffs at his wrists. Get out, said Boris to me, and then again my muscles had locked up and hardened. He gave me a little push. Go, get in the car. Boris turned to me, wiping his eyes, and slung his arm around my neck. Change of plans, he said. That was all on the fly. Improvised. We could have asked for nothing better. Their third man didn't show. First, this, for you. He handed it over the seat to Yuri, who gingerly, with his fingertips, as if it were a tray he might spill, passed it to me. Boris, downing his slug, wiped his mouth with the back of his hand, chucking me gaily in the arm with the bottle, while humming, We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas. Package on my knees, running my hands all around the edge. The felt was so thin that I sensed the rightness of it immediately with my fingertips. The texture and weight were perfect. Go on, said Boris, nodding. Better open it. Make sure it's not a civics book this time. He's still alive back there? Victor, Cherry. Think so. Boris dug an elbow in my ribs. Say something. Still wishing you would phone the art cops, eh? He said, slinging his arm around my shoulder with his head close to mine, exactly as when we were boys. Look at him, said Boris, breaking sharp from what he was saying and knocking me in the arm. He looks like he just had the best blowjob of his life. Boris would know. I mean, what? I didn't say. May I see? Said Boris, coming up behind me. I drew back the felt. The two of us stood awkwardly for a moment, like a pair of minor Flemish noblemen hovering at the margin of a nativity painting. Lot of trouble. Boris lit a cigarette, blew the smoke inside stream away from the picture. But worth it, yes? Yes, I said. Our voices were joking, but subdued, like boys uneasy in church. I had it longer than anyone, said Boris, if you count the days. And then, in a different tone, remember, if you feel like, I can always arrange something for money. Well, only one deal, if you could retire. On the shiny, epoxy-painted concrete between my shoes and Boris, there was Boris, winded and breathless and bloody, running back in. His voice was coming from a million miles off. Potter, are you all right? He's gone. I couldn't catch him. He got away. I drew my palm down my face and looked at the red smear on my hand. Boris was still talking to me with some urgency, but even though he was shaking my shoulder, it was mostly mouth movements and nonsense through soundproof glass. So, this is right after the two guys, like, approach Theo and Boris, and they have a gun, they're like, give me the fucking painting, and Boris is like, nah, fam, and Theo's like, fucking do it, and Boris is like, nah, fam, so then Theo shoots the guy and kills him, and this is kind of, like, his breaking point for what happens next. But yeah, so, because the guy is, like, attacking Boris, and he shoots the guy to save Boris, and it's kind of cute, even though it's, like, serious situation. Hard, but without anger, Boris cuffed me with his closed fist on the side of the head, an impersonal clout, no heat about it at all. It was as if he were performing CPR. Come on, he said, your specs, he said with a short nod. My glasses, blood-smeared, unbroken, lay on the ground by my foot. I didn't remember them falling off. Boris picked them up himself, wiped them on his sleeve, and handed them to me. Come on, he said, catching my arm, pulling me up. His voice was level and soothing, although it was splattered with blood, and I could feel his hand shaking. All over now. You saved us. The gunshot had set off my tinnitus like a swarm of locusts buzzing in my ears. You did good. Now, over here. Hurry. He led me behind the glassed-in office, which was locked and dark. My camel's hair coat had blood on it, and Boris took it off me like an attendant at a coat check, and turned it inside out and draped it over a concrete post. You will have to get rid of this thing, he said with a violent shudder. Shirt too. Not now. Later. Now. Opening a door, crowding in behind me, flipping on a light. Come on. Your arm, I found myself saying. He was holding it wrong. Yes, yes. Cold water flying everywhere, coming up for air. He winged it. He winged me. Not bad. Only a nick. Oh, God. Spitting and sputtering. I should have listened to you. You tried to say, Boris, you said, someone back there in the kitchen, but did I listen to you? Alright, guys. Outfit number 3. It is the next day. I didn't get to finish this last night because my roommate came home. But I wasn't going to finish this today because I have a Disney event that I'm going to and I have to get ready for it. But I am so desperate to finish this because I am so close to being done. And I've done all the editing up to this point. So I just want to be able to upload this so you guys can watch it. So let's continue. We're in the home stretch. Your arm. Though his coat was dark and the light was bad, I saw the burnt skin on his bicep. At his bicep, black wool sticky with blood. Forget it. It's nothing. My God. Starting back into the car, half running, me hurrying to keep up, panicked at the thought of losing him, of being left. Martin knows me. He knows what I carry. He was not expecting me to have that other gun in you. They were not thinking of you at all. Get in the car, he said. No, catching my arm. I was following him to the driver's side like a sleepwalker. Not there. It's a mess. I have seen Martin do things I really do not like to talk about. Your arm. It was hurting him. I could see the tears glittering in his eyes. Boris made a face. Yeah, this is zero. This is nothing. Ah, he said, lifting his elbow up so I could wrap the phone charger cable around his arm. I'd yanked it out, wrapped it twice above the wound, tied it tight as I could. Smart you. Good precaution. Thanks. Although, no need really. Just a graze. More bruise than anything, I think. God, this coat is so thick. Clean it out. Some antibiotic and something for pain. I'll be fine. Deep shuddered breath. I need to find Gary and Cherry. 'Tis but a scratch. No, I mean, what are we going to do? About what? My teeth were chattering so hard I could barely get the words out. Boris, we're fucked. No, we're not. Grozon's gun. Awkwardly, he patted his coat pocket. I'll drop it in the canal. They can't trace it back to me if they can't trace it back to him. And nothing else to tie us, because my gun, clean, no cereal. Look here, said Boris when I didn't answer. Don't worry, we are safe. Shall I say it again? S-A-F-E, spelling it out clumsily on 4 fingers. Hitting a pothole, I flinched, unconsciously, a startled reaction, hands flying up to my face. And why, more than anything? Because we are old friends, because we trust each other, and because, oh God, there's the cop, let me slow down. Because, Potter, think about this. Listen for one moment, please. What if I was a stranger, someone you did not know or trust? If you were driving from a garage now with a stranger, then your life would be chained with the strangers forever. You would need to be very careful with this person, long as you live. Your life, your freedom, resting on a stranger's loyalty? In that case, yes, worry, absolutely. You would be in very big trouble, but no one knows of this thing but us, not even Gary. I knew it deeply and irrationally, like knowledge in a dream. A little while. What was a little while? 3 days tops, Boris had said at Anne Larmesson's, but then he hadn't factored in Fritz and Martin. Boris. I walked to the window and stood, and then walked back again. Even in the confusion on the bridge, I remembered him instructing me not to call. He'd been very firm on the point, though we'd parted in such haste I wasn't sure he'd explained why I was supposed to wait for him to contact me, and in any case I wasn't sure if it mattered anymore. He'd also been very firm on the point that he wasn't hurt, or so I kept reminding myself, though in the swamp of unwanted memories that bombarded me from that evening I kept seeing the burnt hole in the arm of his coat, sticky black wool, and the roll of the sodium lamps. For all I knew, the traffic police had caught him on the bridge and hauled him in for driving without a license, an admittedly shitty break, if indeed the case, but a lot better than some of the other possibilities I could think of. Where was Boris? In my fever haze I tried, unsuccessfully, to amuse or at least divert myself with thoughts of how very likely he was to show up just at the moment I didn't expect him. Cracking his knuckles, making the girls jump, turning up half an hour after our state-issued proficiency exam had begun, widespread classroom laughter at his puzzled face through the wire-reinforced glass of the locked door. Ha, our bright future, he'd said scornfully when on the way home I tried to explain to him about standardized tests. It was a relief to be thinking straight. What good was it doing Boris or anyone, me waiting around? The cold and damp, the unreadable language, fever and cough, the nightmare sense of constraint. I didn't want to leave without Boris, without knowing if Boris was okay. It was the war movie confusion of running on and leaving a fallen friend with no idea what worse hell you were running into. But at the same time I wanted out of Amsterdam so badly I could imagine falling to my knees upon disembarkation at Newark, touching my forehead to the concourse floor. I kept seeing the plastic bag in the garbage bin and the shiny pink face of the ticket clerk and Boris with tears in his eyes and blood on his hand, clutching at the burnt place on his sleeve, and the wind roared and my head burned at the irregular intervals. Alright, then this bitch tries to kill himself. And it's a rough time. And basically it doesn't work and he just wakes up. But allegedly in the movie Boris is gonna find him either like while trying to commit suicide or shortly after, and he's gonna save him, which would be a great time if that's the case. It certainly looks that way from the trailer. So yeah. But instead, when I threw open the door, I could scarcely believe it. There stood Boris, rumpled, red-eyed, battered-looking, snow in his hair, snow on the shoulders of his coat. I was too startled to be relieved. "What?" I said as he embraced me, and then to the determined-looking clerk in the hallway, striding rapidly towards us. "No, it's okay. You see? Why should I wait? Why should I wait?" he said angrily, flinging out an arm at the clerk, who had stopped dead to stare. "Didn't I say? I told you I knew where his room was. How would I know, if not my friend?" Then to me. "I don't know why this big production. Ridiculous. I was standing there forever, and no one at desk. No one. Sahara Desert." Glaring at clerk. Waiting. Ring the bell. Then the second I start up. Wait, sir." Whiny baby voice. "Come back. Here he comes chasing me." "Thank you," I said to the clerk. On his back, rather, since after several moments of looking between us in surprise and annoyance, he had quietly turned to walk away. "Thanks a lot. I mean it." Potter, half humorously putting down his bag, feeling my forehead with his knuckles. "You look bad. You are fevered. You look like you just dug the Panama Canal." "I feel great," I said curtly. "You don't look great. You were as white as a fish. Why are you all dressed up? Why did you not answer my calls? What is this?" he said, looking past me, espying the room service table. "Go ahead. Help yourself." "Well, if you don't mind, I will. What a week." Potter, affectionate, half scornful, leaning forward. "You are a blockhead. You have no sense of gratitude or beauty." "No sense of gratitude. I'll drink to that, I guess." "What, you don't remember our happy Christmas that one time? Happy days gone by, never to return? Your dad," grand flinging gesture, "at the restaurant table, our feast and joy, our happy celebration. Don't you honor that memory in your heart? For God's sake." Potter, arrested breath. "You are something. You are worse than a woman. Hurry. Get up. Go. Did you read my text?" Potter, folding his arms and looking at me coldly, the same look he'd given me in the Pollock bar. A different man would walk out laughing now and never come back. "Then why don't you?" I, looking around the room as if at a loss for a reason why. "I will tell you why not, for old time's sake. Even if you treat me like a criminal, and because I want to make things up to you." "Make what up? Sorry? What exactly? Will you explain it to me? Where the hell did this money come from?" So basically at this point, Boris, turned in the painting to the authorities, returned it to some museum people, and then got a shitload of reward money, and he gave a big cut of it to Theo. Many things to say to Boris. I could say none of them, and yet I could only feel the most abstract gratitude. Maybe, I thought, reaching in the bag, taking out a stack of money and looking it over. Maybe good luck was like bad luck, and that it took a while to sink in. You didn't feel anything at first. The feeling came later on. "Pretty nice, no?" said Boris, clearly relieved I'd come around. "You are happy? Boris, you need to take half of this. Believe me, I took care of myself. I have enough now that I cannot do anything I don't feel like for a while. Who knows, maybe go into bar business even, in Stockholm, or maybe not, little bit boring, but you, that's all yours, and more to come." Remember that time your dad gave us the 500 each? Flying like feathers, very noble and grand. Well, to me then, hungry half the time, sad and lonely, nothing to my name, that was a fortune. More money than I'd ever seen. And you," his nose had grown pink. I thought he was about to sneeze. "Always decent and good, shared with me everything you had. And what did I do?" "Oh, Boris, come on," I said uneasily. "I stole from you, that's what I did." Alcoholic glitter in his eyes. "Took your dearest possession. And how could I treat you so badly when I wished you only well?" "Stop it. No, really, stop," I said when I saw he was crying. "What can I say? You asked me why I took it, and what can I reply? Only that it's never the way it seems, all good, all bad, so much easier if it was. Even your dad, feeding me, talking with me, spending time, sheltering me in his roof, giving me clothes off his back. You hated your dad so much, but in some ways he was a good man." "I wouldn't say good. Well, I would." "Well, you would be the only one. You would be wrong. Look, I have more tolerance than you," said Boris, invigorated by the prospect of a disagreement and sniffing up his tears in a gulp. "Maybe sometimes the wrong way is the right way. You can take the wrong path and it still comes out where you want to be. Or spin it another way. Sometimes you can do everything wrong and it still turns out to be right. I'm not sure I see your point." "Well, I have to say I personally have never drawn such a sharp line between good and bad as you. For me, that line is often false. The two are never disconnected. One can't exist without the other. And as long as I'm acting out of love, I feel I am doing best I know how. But you, wrapped up in judgment, always regretting the past, cursing yourself, blaming yourself, asking what if, life is cruel. I wish I died instead of. Well, think about this. What if all your actions and choices, good or bad, make no difference to God? What if the pattern is preset? No, hang on. This is a question worth struggling with. What if our badness and mistakes are for the very thing that set our fate and bring us round for good? What if, for some of us, we can't get there any other way? Get where? Understand, by saying God, I am merely using God as reference to a long-term pattern we can't decipher. Huge, slow-moving weather system rolling in at us from afar, blowing us randomly, like, eloquently. He batted at the air as if at a blown leaf. But maybe not so random and impersonal at all. Personal as all that, if you get me. Sorry, but I'm not really appreciating your point here. You don't need a point. The point is maybe that the point is too big to see or work around on our own, because, up went the batwing eyebrow. Well, if you still didn't take picture from museum and Sasha didn't steal it back and I didn't think of claiming reward, well, wouldn't all those dozens of other paintings remain missing too, forever maybe, wrapped in brown paper, still shut in that apartment? No one to look at them, not lonely and lost to the world. Maybe the one had to be lost for others to be found. I think this goes more to the idea of relentless irony than divine providence. Yes, but why give it a name? Can't they both be the same thing? We looked at each other, and it occurred to me that despite his faults, which were numerous and spectacular, the reason I'd liked Boris and felt happy around him from almost the moment I'd met him was that he was never afraid. You didn't meet many people who moved freely through the world with such vigorous contempt for it, and at the same time such oddball and unworthable faith in what, in childhood, he had liked to call the planet of Earth. So, Boris downed the rest of his wine and poured himself some more. "What are your so big plans? As regards to what? A moment ago you were tearing off. Why not stay here a while?" "Here? No, I didn't mean here, not in Amsterdam. I will agree with you, this is not a very good place for us to that it is a very good idea for us probably to get out of town. And as for myself, I will not care to be coming back for a while. What I meant was, why not relax a bit and hang out before flying back? Come to Antwerp with me, see my place, meet my friends, get away from your girl problems for a bit." "No, I'm going home." "When?" "Today, if I can." "So soon?" "No, come to Antwerp. There's this fantastic service." I flew home on the red-eye 2 nights later, after a Boxing Day in Antwerp involving neither party nor escort service, but canned soup, a penicillin injection, and some old movies on Boris's couch. "Do you ever think about quitting?" I asked during the boring part of It's a Wonderful Life, the moonlight walk with Donna Reed, when I was in Antwerp watching Boris with spoon and water from an eyedropper mixing himself what he called a pop. "Give me a break. My arm hurts." He'd already shown me the bloody skid mark, black at the edges, cutting deep into his bicep. "You get shot at Christmas and see if you want to sit around swallowing aspirin." "Yeah, but you're crazy to do it like that." "Well, believe it or not, for me not so much a problem. I only do it on special occasions." "I've heard that before." "Well, it's true. Still a chipper for now. I've known of people chipped 3-4 years and been okay, as long as they kept it down to 2 or 3 times a month. That said," Boris added somberly, blue movie light glinting off of the teaspoon, "I am alcoholic. Damage is done there. I'm a drunk till I die. If anything kills me," nodding at the Russian Standard bottle on the coffee table, "that'll be it. Say, you never shot before? Believe me, I had problems enough the other way. Well, big stigma and fear, I understand. Me, honest, I prefer to sniff most times. Clubs, restaurants, out and about, quicker and easier just to duck in men's rooms and do a quick bump. This way, Always you crave it. On my deathbed I will crave it. Better never to pick it up. Although, really very irritating to see some bonehead sitting there smoking out of a crack pipe and make some pronouncement of how dirty and unsafe. They would never use a needle, you know? Like they are so much more sensible than you. Why did you start? Why does anyone? My girl left me. Girl at the time. Wanted to be all bad and self-destructive. Ha. Got my wish. Jimmy Stewart in his varsity sweater, silvery moon, quavery voices, buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight, come out tonight. So why not stop then? I said. Why should I? Do I really have to say why? Yeah, but what if I don't feel like it? If you can stop, why wouldn't you? Live by the sword, die by the sword, said Boris briskly, hitting the button on his very professional-looking medical tourniquet with his chin as he was pushing up his sleeve. As terrible as this is, I get it. We can't choose what we want and don't want, and that's the hard, lonely truth. Sometimes we want what we want even if we know it's going to kill us. We can't escape who we are. That's it. That's the book. That's every boreo moment in The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. I did it! Oh, this took so long. I hope you guys like this. Share your thoughts with me down below. Let's chat. How are you feeling? Are you excited for the movie? I'm gonna make another video or two before the movie comes out because I came up with some ideas. Same with it. I came up with some ideas for videos before the movie. So, look forward to those. I gotta go get ready to go to this event. And I will see you guys next time. Comment, like, and subscribe. Follow my Instagram. All the links are in the bio. Buy my books. Do all the things. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.